Hey guys, Jill here for Premiere Basics, a weekly series where we teach you all the ins and outs of Adobe Premiere Pro. Welcome to our 5th live stream. Hopefully, Jordy, come on! Hopefully everything is going well, both with you and with the stream. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you see me well. So let's hope there are no technical issues this time. Okay, so for today, we're going to create kind of an old camera vintage look, the 8mm cameras. I'm not sure if we have one right here. I'm not sure if that's 8mm right over there, but that's a really old camera over there. So let's see in the comment section, guys. Can you guys hear me well and see me well? Let me know. If that's the case, then we can get started right away in Premiere Pro. Let's have a look. I see the comments coming in. Hello from South Africa. All right, South Africa, nice. Hello from Belgium. Okay. Seems that no one is complaining about audio or video issues, so that's good. So let's get started. By the way, guys, here is our donation board. If you leave a donation, I'll check out your channel. Not immediately though, but I'll do it after the stream, and in the next stream I will give a little bit of feedback on your channel. The Orlando guy already donated every live stream, so really props to that guy. And last week we had a final donation in the last second before I ended the live stream, which was, I think it's pronounced Elliot, but with a 3 and a 7. Really creative, actually. So props to that guy for donating, of course. So thank you so much. Sorry that I couldn't mention you last time. It was really the last second of the stream, literally. So anyways, let's see. Hi from Switzerland, from India. Everything okay? Yes. Okay, now we can get started, guys. So I'm gonna go into Premiere Pro right here. Let's close the Lumetri panel first. Here we go. Let me check if you guys can see everything very well. Okay. So guys, I really love old movies. I really love the look and feel of it, especially the black and white movies. My favorite movie is The Third Man, which is a movie from 1949, yeah. So I really love the way that it looks, like the grungy feeling that they have. I also love the old VHS and 8mm looks on cameras. Now, of course, nowadays, everything is digital and everything is like really high quality. So, of course, we cannot create that old grungy look in camera. We have to do it in post-production. So that's what we're going to do today. Let me see. Sound and stream is okay. Nice. Okay, let's go. So I have some footage here already. Let me open it. Here it is. Let's enlarge this a bit. Now, all of this footage, all of these clips come from story blocks or video blocks, whatever you want to call it. They are not sponsoring the stream, but we use them a lot on a weekly basis. They have an entire library online full of stock clips, overlays, actually everything you need as a filmmaker, After Effects templates and stuff like that. But this is not sponsored by them. I'm just using it because, yeah, I just wanted to create kind of a family feeling, because nowadays with the COVID situation going on around the world, we kind of lose hope and our happiness. So that's why I wanted to make a nice, happy, cozy family gathering video. But I don't have footage of that, so that's why I used story blocks. Okay, where's Janik? Haven't seen him in a while. Well, Janik is currently in the office. He's editing. Okay, so here I have my shots. Let me see which one I'm gonna start with. Nope, that's a little bit too snowy. Let's start with, what's this? Going outside, or is it going inside? Let's use that one first. Place an in point by clicking on the I key and an out point with the O key from the source monitor. I'm just gonna drag the video, so not the audio. I don't need that. And as you can see, my timeline here, it's really small, so I'm gonna enlarge this. You can either use this lever on the bottom or press Z and then you can zoom in. And of course, as always, I'm holding Alt while scrolling in my track to enlarge those just a bit. No, I don't need the audio, so I'm gonna lower this. And here we go. Hope you guys can see it well. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm checking the comments right here as we're doing this live stream. So yeah, I'm gonna turn my head a lot, but yeah, we can proceed now, I think. So we start off with this shot right here. We're going in. I actually think it's a little bit too long. I'm gonna cut it right here. Next, I want a shot of my establishing. So here I can establish my inside, which is a Christmas tree and some decorations. So I'm placing an in point and an out point. I love the movement in this shot. So let's place it here. Okay, nice. Let's cut it right here. Here we go. What else do we need? Maybe another close-up establishing shot of some candles. Here we go. I'm just making these cuts or these selections right here a little bit random, but of course you can do whatever you want with this. We're just going to create an edit first, and now we're going to use that edit, spice it up, and give it that old vintage look. Okay, this is good. Maybe shorten this a bit. Okay, now we need some people, of course. Do we have someone here, or they're opening presents? That's later in the evening. First, we need to raise a glass, maybe, or just have a laugh. Yeah, they're having a laugh here. I see some guys, I see some girls. We have a family gathering. Here we go. That's looking quite nice. Okay, now of course, if you're editing to a song or to a specific beat, you can cut to that. I'm just editing random. I don't have any music, but you can always add some. Okay, so let's have a quick check. Oh, Cinecom is also watching the live stream. How is everyone doing? Let's see, will you please do an anime video effect? I'll have a look at that, see what's possible. Hey Jill, how's it going? Well, I'm doing well, I'm doing fine. I had a fun day at work. We laughed a lot, so that's always nice. Just like these people here. Okay, but let's continue our edit. We have some other guys and girls here having some fun. That's a fun shot, okay. Here we go. So as you see, I use 2 tracks. It's just a habit that I have of using different tracks, putting videos on track 2 and track 1. That way I can play around with it. I don't always have to cut and extend each clip if I want to change something. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna make these a little bit smaller, and I'm going to enlarge the 3rd track because I'm going to use that as well. So now we have some footage. Of course, I'm not going to use all of the footage. If we have time left, then I can make the entire video, but I'm going to start with something short. This is around 16 seconds long, so it's ideal for a social media story post or whatever. So we have our story that starts here. We're going inside. What's the inside? Well, it's a Christmas party, as you can see. We have some fun, and they're playing a kind of a game with the candles. I'm not sure, but there's a nice connection between the candles right here and the candles that we have here. So it's kind of a storyline inside this little video. Oh, and the Orlando guy just donated again. Well, that's 5 times in a row. Thank you so much, the Orlando guy. Guys, definitely check out his channel. He's making videos about Orlando, of course, but they're really nice. I watch them every time a new one comes out. So definitely check out his channel and subscribe to him. I'm gonna write it down. It's bam, 5 times in a row. It's looking like an inmate's cell right here. Like each day that he has gone by in his prison cell, he carves something in the wall. Thank you so much, Orlando guy. Thank you so much. Oh, wrong button. Okay, so back to the editing. Let me check. Where were we? Oh, so we just, yeah, placed the last shot here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my project, and I'm going to make an adjustment layer. So I can go here to this new item icon, or I can just right click, new item, adjustment layer. These are the settings of my sequence. It's just a regular HD sequence, so 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second. That's all right. I don't have to change anything here. Just gonna hit OK. And I'm gonna drag this to layer number 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, an adjustment layer is a non-destructive layer, which is actually transparent, so there's nothing on there. But if you apply effects on it, the effects will be applied to all the layers underneath. So that's why I'm placing it on track number 3. That way, each effect that I apply on there will be applied to both the second track and the first track. Let me check the comments in just a moment. I'm first gonna check this. So we have our adjustment layer. There's nothing on there, so we need to go put some effects on it. Let's go to the effects panel, and first we're gonna look for posterize time. This one right here. You can find it in the video effects, and then the time folder, posterize time. We can drag it on there, and let's go to our effect controls right here. Here we have it. Now here is the effect, and what it actually does is it changes the frame rate of your clip. Now back in the days, or nowadays, we use 24, 25, 30, even 60 frames per second or even more. But back in the days, they didn't have that, and that way it looked like a bit, not really slow motion-ish, but like kind of laggy. And that gave that old and grungy look, of course. Now we can change this to around maybe 16, or even slower, but I mean less. But I think 16 will be okay. So let's see. You can see that it looks like it's glitching a little bit, like it's having some time playing it back, but it's actually just skipping some frames. So that's a good thing. Now, as you can see, our timeline turned red, so we're gonna need to render this, of course. I'm gonna save my project first, Control S, and I'm just gonna hit enter and render this for a moment. It goes quite fast, as you can see. In the meantime, I'm going to check your comments. Let's see. From where did you study 3D modeling and all of the 3D stuff? Well, I actually am not a 3D modeler or whatever. It's more Janik and Lorenzo who play around with 3D, and they're currently doing a class that they're following to learn more about 3D. So hopefully next year they will make some cool 3D tutorials for you guys. Let's see. I have a very big problem. I decided to make YouTube videos and set up a camera with mic and OBS with mic. The voice of camera is better than the other. How I sync these two? Well, if you want to sync audio, let me check here. I don't think I have audio though, but let's see. I'm gonna look for some audio real quick. Normally I have some from our previous live streams, I think. Let me have a quick look. Where did we use audio? Was it the first live stream? I think so. Yes, here it is. Okay, I'm just gonna take a random audio file. It is music though, but it doesn't really matter. So imagine that this, oh yeah, of course, my audio tracks are here. Imagine that this is your camera audio. I'm just gonna duplicate this. And this is your other audio from OBS. You can just take both, right click on them, and synchronize. Here you can choose how it has to synchronize, so either the start of the clip, so that means that they just will line up at the beginning, same for the end. If you have shot this with a time code, you can use the time code, but what I do is I use the audio of track number 1, so this layer right here, and just hit OK, and then it will synchronize both, and then they will be on the same place. So that's a good way to do it. Now, if you're having problems with this, then I would suggest to always clap before you, or when you start recording. So you press record on OBS, you press record on your camera, then you clap really loud. Just be silent, don't say anything, just clap, and then you will see a big spike. here in the audio meter, or in the audio volume, and that way you can line up those two spikes, and that way it's always a good way to synchronize them, of course. I'm going to delete these now. We don't need this anymore, and lower this here. Okay. Quickly, some other questions. Let me scroll back a little bit. I thought you will do it in an adjustment layer. Yeah, I always use adjustment layers because they are non-destructive. I can easily just disable the layer or delete it if I don't like it. Or if my computer is going slow for some reason, I can just remove it for just a moment or drag it away from the clip that I'm using. Or I can just use an effect on my adjustment layer, and if I can't get a specific value that I want, because like for instance the transform effect has a maximum value of 300% scaling, above that it will go really slow and it will lag your entire computer. So what I can do is just use an adjustment layer, put the transform effect on there, go to 300, and then on my clip itself also go to 300, and that way I have 600% scaling. So that way I can always stack up these effects. Let me check. Can you guys say hello to Portugal? Hello, Portugal! I've never been there, I think. I'm not sure, actually. And in Spanish, oh, I'm not so fluent in Spanish. Hola señoras, hola señoritas, ¿cómo estás? I think that's about it. I have a very big problem on sentiment. Okay, I answered that one, so I hopefully it works for you now. Where in Belgium are you from? Well, we are from the northern part, which is actually really close to the border of the Netherlands. How to render fast? Well, I think I've already made a tutorial about that, but there are so many ways to edit faster. You can lower the resolution of your program monitor, for instance, here. So don't use full, use 1/4 if you can. And if you're shooting for like 4K, you can do 1/8 of the full resolution. So that's one way to do it. Use hardware encoding. Render your effects. Don't use effects that are too heavy. Stuff like that. My Windows crashed when I zoomed a 4K image to 500%. What could be possible reason for that? Well, I'm not sure what the specs of your computer are, but I think that was quite heavy for your computer, because 4K is a big resolution for most computers. If you scale that to 500%, I mean, that's just, yeah, your PC is gonna have problems with that for sure. What kind of video formats does Premiere Pro support? Well, now with the latest Premiere coming in 2021, there are gonna be almost, I think almost all of the video formats are gonna be supported. There are a couple, I think AVI files aren't supported yet, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But yeah, there are some that aren't supported, but you can always go on the internet and use a website to transcode them to another file, like MP4 or something. Is pressing enter, that's a good question, this one. Is pressing enter rendering all of the timeline, or is it rendering only the red one? Well, we have different ways to render. I think I also made a tutorial about this, so you probably haven't checked that one out yet. But we can place in and out points in our timeline as well, just by I and O. And then we can go here to sequence and use render effects into out. Now we can always, or render selection, of course. This is the selection that we've just made. Now there's a difference between rendering the effects and rendering everything into out. Rendering the effects will only render the effects, of course. So not underlaying things or adjustment that you've made that aren't effects. Rendering into out renders everything. So I always use that one. That way everything will be rendered, also the yellow or orange, whatever you want to call it, parts. So I'm gonna right click and select clear in and out. That way I can get rid of my in and out point here. Where was I? Write-on effect in Premiere Pro. Well, I'm working on that. I have been trying it today and it actually works. So I'm gonna make a tutorial for that. Not this week because I have something else planned for you guys, but maybe next week or in the next live stream. Not entirely sure yet. By the way, guys, I made a community post asking you guys what kind of title animations or motion graphics that you guys want to see. So definitely respond to that community post. There were a lot of questions for title animations or motion graphics, but yeah, I want to know what you guys want to see or want to learn. So let me know, or maybe put it in the comments right here somewhere. That way I know what to make in the future for you guys. Ever been to Luxembourg? Yes, I've been there a couple of times. I love it. Yeah, beautiful nature as well in Luxembourg. I'm from England. I've been there as well. Last year, I did an entire trip around the UK for a client. Indeed, Bavin, no AVI is supported. Indeed. So I'm gonna proceed with the effect and then I will go back to the comments later on. So we were using the posturized time. As you can see, it gave us this kind of slower effect to it. But I think this shot is going really slow, but doesn't really matter. We're just gonna proceed. So next, we're gonna give it a specific look. So we're going to the Lumetri control panel, or we can just go to Window and Lumetri Color. Here we have it. Now I want to give it kind of a faded look. So I'm gonna go take. First, I'm gonna color grade this shot because it looks really flat. So I'm just gonna put some contrast in there. Yeah, something like that. Lower the blacks just a tiny bit. Okay. This one has a lot of contrast. This one as well. This one as well. Okay, maybe put a little bit more saturation here as well. And in this one too. Okay, so I think that all of the shots are kind of on the same level when it comes to color grading. Or at least the contrast part, not the colors, but I'm not gonna really care about the colors just yet. First, I'm going back to my adjustment layer. And I'm going to go to the Creative tab. I'm going to decrease the sharpen just a little bit, maybe -10. Then I'm going to the Curves tab. I hope you guys can see it. Then I go to Rgb Curves. I'm gonna place 3 points, one in the middle, one on this line right here, and one on this line right here in my darker parts. I'm gonna drag this down just a tiny bit, and then I'm gonna take the bottom left right here and drag it up, and this will give us that faded looks into the darker parts of our scene. So here's a lot of darkness, so let me just uncheck this. Bam, here you can see it very well. I'm gonna do the same for the upper right to soften those highlights just a bit. I kind of like this, but now I'm going to the color wheels and match, and I'm going to the shadows right here and add just a little bit of warmth, something like this, and lower the shadows just a tiny bit. So now everything looks quite warm, quite cozy. It looks like a fun family gathering. Now this shot has a lot of blue in it, so I'm gonna take this shot right here, going to the basic correction, and I'm just gonna warm the temperature to around, yeah, maybe 40 even. Okay. So that's it for the color grading part. Of course, you can choose whatever you want with this, but I like to give old footage, or especially when it's a cozy vibe, like a warm tone. So that's why I played around with the temperature and here in the color wheels with the shadows, giving it a little bit of more orange inside that. Let's see. Okay, this looks good. Now, as you can see, our bar here in the timeline turned red again, so we'll need to render that, but playback is going quite all right, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Now, the next thing that we can do is add some noise, or grain, whatever you want to call it. Let's just look for a noise effect right here, and it's right here in the noise and the grain map. Now, there's also this dust and scratches. I'm not really sure if it works, but I'm gonna try it in just a moment. First, I'm gonna add the noise. So noise to my adjustment layer. Here we go. Let's go to our effect controls, scroll down, or I'm just gonna close the posterize and the Lumetri, and here we have it, the noise. Now, how much noise do I want? Maybe around 25%. I think it can go up, maybe 45. Oh, that's a lot. Oh, okay, it was just on lower resolution. Yeah, okay, I think this is quite all right. I'm not sure if you guys can see it well on the stream, so I'm just gonna enlarge this. So this is without noise, and this is with the noise. So as you can see, it also gives kind of an extra faded look. Now, you can also change the noise type here. So now it uses colored noise. You can turn that off, and that way the noise particles itself won't have any color values to it. Now I think I like this a little bit more. It's just a small detail, but I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay, let's enlarge this right here and save this, of course. Control S on the keyboard. I'm gonna go back to our presentation view here. And let me check the comments real quick. Where were we? Have you guys plans for creating a big movie? Not really. We're still working on the short movie. But no big plans for a big movie yet. You never know what next year is gonna bring, but for now, there aren't any plans. Oh, you were talking about your computer, right? Yeah, well, the specs are quite dumb. Yeah, if your computer isn't that great, don't overdo your effects. So, if you need to enlarge a photo or use an effect like at the maximum property, try to find a way around of doing that, because otherwise your computer will lag, it will go really slow, Premiere will crash the entire time. So I don't really recommend doing that. Now, if your computer is quite okay, then you can do that, but try to avoid it as much as possible. Like when I mentioned the transform effect, don't go over a scaling of 300%. Otherwise, it will just go super slow. I've experienced it, and I really hated it. I was struggling, and I didn't realize that my transform scaling was above 300, so I was messing around with all that stuff in Premiere, and suddenly I realized, oh, it's the transform effect that is bugging everything. So I just put it back to 300, and it all went fine. Why do you prefer using Windows instead of Mac? Well, I don't prefer anything. I have a Mac at home. I have a Windows PC at home. I use both of them. It doesn't really matter for me. I don't have a specific preference. So if it works, it works. That's how my motto goes. What does rendering mean? Well, rendering, that's a good question. Let me go back to our Premiere view here. Well, rendering means that it will analyze all of the effects here. Like for instance now, let me, well, here you can see the red bar. So this means that all of the effects that are applied to my adjustment layer aren't really analyzed by Premiere, so it will not play back at the best resolution, the best playback. It will not go really smooth, and that's because it has to interpret everything. So when we hit render or just enter on our keyboard here, oh, why isn't it working? Oh, here it goes. You can see that it takes a little bit of time. Here normally it says how much time it's using or is still left. Oh yeah, here is still left. Here it's the time that is elapsed. And what it's doing now is it's interpreting all of the effects that you've made, all of the values that you put to the properties. It's analyzing that, it's remembering that. So then, as you can see right here, everything is turning green, and that means that we won't have any problems playing back that part of our video. Now, if this would be a yellow color, then it kind of understands the effects, and it can play back smoothly, not entirely, but it can play back really well. But it could also have some problems, but not some major issues. When it's red, it means that it has some major issues playing back at the full speed, full resolution. So that's what rendering does. Let's go back here. How to know which effect is better for any video? Well, it all depends on the effect, of course. What I mostly do is I imagine what kind of effect that I want to use. Then I think about how can I make or create that specific thing that I have in mind. Most of the time I'm thinking, oh, After Effects, yeah. But then I'm like, is that the best option that I have? Isn't there like a better way to do it in Premiere that is maybe less difficult and less time consuming or power consuming for my PC? So then I first go look on Premiere. Does it have anything that is related to that effect or that looks a bit like it? And then I just play around with it. Now, if we go back to Premiere here and go to the effects library, you see this button right here, the accelerated effects. Now I'm going to delete this. If I click on that, all of the effects that are shown here with this icon will not cause any problems when editing. So these are accelerated effects. These are good for your computer. I mean, good. They don't make your computer really slow when using these. So when I apply one of these to a regular clip, it will not turn red in the timeline here. Now, of course, not all of the effects that are listed here are the ones that you want to use. So yeah, sometimes this helps a lot. Sometimes this just doesn't really help and you have to look for another effect. But yeah, you can do a lot with most of these, like the crop effect, for example. You can do a lot with the crop effect, but as you can see, it's an accelerated effect, so that's easy. You can apply it once again, you can apply it there and here and bam and boom, and it will not cause any problems for your computer. So that was a quick fun fact about accelerated effects. Have you ever been to India? I haven't, unfortunately. Greetings from Italy. Hi, I've been to Italy. The term rendering is also used to describe the process of calculating effects in a video editing program to produce the final video output. That's true indeed. So what I mentioned was the kind of easy way to explain it. But what it basically always does is export your video in the background. And let me show you guys. When you go over to your project, so I have my sequence right here. I can right click on it, sequence settings, and here you see video previews. This is actually what is rendering. So these are the file formats that are rendering right now. You don't want this to put here. You want it to go, oh, I first have to put it to custom. And then normally it would say iframe or something. I would always go to QuickTime and then to Apple ProRes 422 because, yeah, it's just a better codec to use. Okay. It will now has to delete all of my render files, no problem. And as you see, it's back to red. Now imagine that this is all green again. and I go to export this. So I'm going to File, then export media, this timeline right here. Now, when you're here, you can use the Use Previews option. I hope you can see it very well. And this will use all of the previously rendered previews that you've made. So as I mentioned, when you preview, when you render, everything will turn green. Those are the ones, or the specific sections of your sequence that are actually exported in the background. And when you press Use Previews here, it will automatically use those files and replace them with your current timeline, and that way the exporting goes faster, easier, it has less problems. So if you're having any problems, I recommend doing this, and normally it should work better. And wow, there's a storm suddenly outside. I hope you guys can still hear me well. A lot of rain, damn. Okay, let's see, there are any more questions that I can answer. We need a video on color grading. Well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's gonna be a color grading video soon on the Cinecom channel, not on this channel. Can we make a wiggle or wave effect in text? Because I don't think Basic 3D will help with that. No, the Basic 3D is basically, yeah, wait, let me just make a text real quick. Control T. Hi. I'm text. Here we go. The Basic 3D effect, let me look it up. Here it goes. Wow, what a storm. I hope you guys can still hear me. So the Basic 3D effect, it can swivel around, tilt, and yeah, this is kind of the Z-axis towards the camera. But as you can see, it's just static. It can't wave, it can't wiggle. If you want to wave, you can maybe add the wave warp effect instead of the 3D. I'm not sure what you mean with a wave or with the wrinkle, whatever it's called. But yeah, here you can use a lot of wave types. For instance, this is more like a digital kind of wave. This is more like a smooth wave. You can change the height of the wave. Maybe you can make kind of an animation with that. The width of the wave. This is how you can make an animation with the flow of the text going like this. So I'm not entirely sure what you mean exactly, but this is something that you can use for it. Let's see. Can you name any good RAM? I don't know a lot about computer specs, to be honest, and about the hardware of a computer. You should ask Jordi or Lorenzo. They know a lot more about that. I'm not sure if they are watching. If not, then just yeah, commented on one of the Cinecom videos. I think Jordi even made some tutorials about that as well, about editing laptops that you can use. Yeah, so have a look on the Cinecom channel. I'm not entirely sure where they are, but I think there are some videos about the perfect laptop or PC for editing, especially with Premiere Pro. Can you teach a little bit about proxy editing? Well, good question actually. So what is proxy editing? Well, proxies are basically a lower resolution container of your clip that you're using. So let's, I'm gonna try to explain this really simple. So let's imagine that you're using a 4K video clip. Your PC can't handle it. It's just too heavy. It can't process the video. It can't play it back smoothly. So it's too heavy. What we can do is we can, let's go to the footage here. Where is it? We can right click on it. Normally, I have to look for it myself. Oh, here, proxy, then create a proxy. Now, what this will do is it will basically make a lower resolution container or replacement file that you can use for your editing. That way you can edit way smoother, and at the end you can toggle back to the original video clips, and then you can export your video. That way the entire editing process goes way smoother, way more easy than with the 4K footage that you had to work with. Now, if you have a lot of footage, I highly suggest that you keep some time before you start your edit, because it can take a lot of time to transfer or to change a lot of 4K footage into these proxies. So what I always do is I use QuickTime and just a low resolution ProRes proxy. Then you're gonna go hit OK. This will open up Adobe Media Encoder, and from there you can just export all of these video clips to proxies. Imagine that they are proxies now, and you can import them here, and then you can see this button right here, toggle proxies. Bam, bam. If you don't see this button right here, click on the plus icon in the program monitor and just drag it from here to here. Hit OK, and then you can toggle these. You will immediately see it when everything is playing back smoothly. These are on. Click again. If they aren't going smoothly, I know you're working with the 4K again. So that's one way to do it, or the way to do it actually. And I highly suggest using proxies. It works so good. I don't use it a lot myself when I'm editing on a PC, but my MacBook at home is really old, can't do anything on it with 4K footage, so I always have to make proxies if I'm on the road traveling or whatever, if I'm not at home editing on my MacBook. So that's why I always use those on there. So I'm gonna render and comments. Help you a lot. Buy no 3D software in Gen. They can make more. A couple of years back when I was still at school, but I'm not really that good in it. It's been so long that I've worked with it, so yeah, I don't think I can still do it. Let me check. Can you add After Effects or AE files in Premiere Pro? Yes, you can. It's that's the good thing about Adobe. All other programs are linked to each other with dynamic links, so you can go from Premiere to After Effects, from After Effects to Premiere, to Photoshop, back to Premiere, to Illustrator, back to Photoshop. It's an entire dynamic link. So yes, almost every program file can be used in another program. Super good. Oh, there's a bit of lag apparently. Not sure where it's coming from. Let's see, do you guys still experience some lag? I challenge you to make a video edit on the Filmora software and tell the difference. Well, I've actually used Filmora, not for a big project, but I was teaching some classes to some people who didn't have any experience with editing, and they weren't really eager to learn Premiere, so I taught them Shotcut, Filmora, and HitFilm, because they're all free softwares that you can find online. It's basically the same workflow as Premiere, so there's nothing majorly different about them, in my opinion. We've also made a tutorial about that, or a video about that, on Cinecom. There isn't a big difference. It's just your preference, your workflow. They all had their positive and negative sides, so yeah. The main problem is I cannot color grade correctly. Okay, let me give you a quick tip for color grading. Let's say that you want to color grade this shot, of course, without the effects applied to it. Well, then open up the Lumetri Scopes, and this will help you a lot. For instance, this right here is, as you can see, where is it? YUV vector scope. I always forget the right names. And when you start color grading, first you should go to, where is it, the effect controls of this clip, and make a small selection of the skin within the opacity here. So you actually mask just a tiny portion. Then you go back to the Lumetri Scopes, and as you can see, it's now on this line right here between yellow and red. This is the point where our skin tones need to be. So if I want to make it more to the yellow side, let's say that this line is here, then I add some green tint. Opposite way is going more to the red line. Okay, now I can always use contrast, and then you will see it go more to these lines right here. These are actually our lightness and darkness lines. So as you can see, it's full contrast now. Not gonna do that because this is quite okay already, so I don't need to do that. Of course, when you're done color grading, either delete the mask or disable the opacity or something to get back to this view, of course. So that's a good tip that I can give you guys when you're color grading. Use vector scopes. You can also see they have histograms here. Now, of course, you need to understand how these work. Like for instance, this right here, these are the colors, values, and lightness and darkness. You also have the waveform without the colors. This is just my contrast for the shot. So as you can see, if I add more contrast, the section or the parameter between the darkest and lightest points are changing here. Now they're more like, there's more a dynamic between the darkness and lighter parts. Now there's more, it's extended. Okay, so definitely make sure to use these when you're color grading. It will definitely help you out. Let me see. What a nice haircut. Well, thank you. I'm actually growing my hair. So yeah, I can't go to the barber because they are closed right now due to our lockdown. So I'm growing it. Is it getting laggy again? There's a curse on this live stream, guys. I'm not sure what it is, because Jordy did a live stream last week and everything went well. And he even used After Effects, I think, and Illustrator and all of that. I'm just using Premiere, so I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sorry for the lag, guys. What about files from Audition? You can also add those in Premiere. An electronic noise. Well, I'll put my phone here. Maybe it's my phone. It can also be the vent of the laptop because it was kind of going the entire time. I think it's better now. Hi, Gordon Ramsay. Do I look like Gordon Ramsay? Oh, okay. I get your problem, CR7 Junior. So you mean that your character is moving a lot and you can't get the colors right? Well, is the light changing as well? Because if there is a lot of light changing and he's moving in and out of the light, then yeah, it can get a little bit hard. If the lighting conditions are quite the same, then normally you shouldn't have to alter the colors a lot. It's just one color grade that you apply to that clip, and normally it should be okay. It should be all right. Now, of course, I'm not really sure what your shot looks like, so I can't give any specific help for you, but yeah, just play around with it. Normally you shouldn't have to track anything, you shouldn't have to mask anything, you just have to color grade. Then it can be applied to the entire clip, and it doesn't really matter if your character is moving or not. Let's see. If I delete my media cache, will the dynamic link? Ooh, that's a good question, and I'm actually not really sure about that, to be honest. You'll need to look that up on Google, I'm afraid. I don't really know the answer to that. I haven't tried it, but maybe I can try it, and once the stream is done, because I don't have any After Effects files on this computer or laptop. I want to be a lizard when I grow up. Well, if you want lizard eyes, then check out last week's tutorial, because I made a tutorial about how to change your eyes to lizard eyes and some other scary eye effects. What is your favorite transition? Well, actually, I'm not really a fan of transitions. I'm actually the kind of guy who likes the traditional cutting between scenes. But what I do like are the natural in-camera transitions, or using masks that are really subtle. So for instance, when your camera is coming from here, and then it uses this right here as a mask to reveal a next scene, that kind of thing I like. I also like the film reel transitions. So when it looks like your video is from an old film reel changing towards a new scene on that film reel. That's an effect that I saw on the Cinepunch bundle, which I made a video about a couple of weeks ago, and I really love that effect. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that as well. Okay, but guys, I'm going back into Premiere Pro now. We're gonna finish our effect. Now, this will look quite good already, but we're gonna need some overlays to enhance it. Now, these overlays, I have them, wait, let me just close this up first. I have them from Storyblocks. Just as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this footage is also coming from Storyblocks, but you can find a lot of them online, even on YouTube. You can make these yourself. I have a friend who actually made overlays himself. I also have them right here in my overlays pack. So yeah, there are ways to do it. It just takes a lot more time. So let's go to my overlays right here. And as you can see, I have a ton of them. The first thing that I want is kind of the 4x3 look, which I have right here. And I'm gonna drag that on top of the adjustment layer. Now this is in 4K, so I'm going to scale it to the frame size, and here we go. Now, as you can see, this doesn't do a lot. So we'll need to blend this. So let's go to our effect controls and let's hit the multiply. Yeah, okay, this looks great. Now you can see a lot of noise here. That's because we use the noise effect and it's on 1/4 of the resolution. So if I play it back, the noise is extreme. Now, of course, once I pause, you can see the full resolution. You can see that the noise is way smoother and more subtle. So yeah, as you can see, we now have this overlay. He also has another one that is 16:9. Let me scale that and use the multiply blending tool. Now, as I mentioned, we can make these ourselves. You can make an overlay like this in Photoshop, or you can use the crop effect in Premiere Pro on adjustment layers to do this. Now, the only part here are these round corners. That's a little bit harder to do. You can also make a mask, for example. Let me just quickly make one ourselves. So let's use another adjustment layer. Now let's see, we go to our effects. We use the crop effect. Now I'm not entirely sure what the right properties here have to be to create a 4:3, but I'm just gonna see. By the way, guys, quick tip. If you're scrolling here, it goes super fast, but if you hold Control key, it goes way smoother. So I'm gonna put it to maybe 15% and on the right side as well. And then I'm going to edge feather these maybe 50% and yeah, maybe just a little bit on top as well, like 5, and on the bottom as well, 5. Now we created an overlay for ourselves. Now this looks good. It's an easy way to do it. The crop effect isn't really heavy, so that's a really good way to do it. But I'm gonna use the overlays because I love the look of it a little bit more. There's also the edit texture in there, and this one is actually also animated, so there's a little animation going on these borders. There's also kind of a chromatic aberration on these borders, so that's also really nice. And as you can see, this is the result. Now this isn't long enough, so what I'm going to do is hold Alt, drag it, and I have a second one. I'm gonna make it the right length, and here we go. There we have it. Now this looks good, but we can enhance it even more. The next thing that we can use is a typical burn hole. Let me just scale that down and position it here. I'm not a fan of that. I see a lot of videos on YouTube or wherever on social media with this vintage effect, and I like that, but I don't like this burn hole. Now you can get creative with it and maybe put multiple on top, but I don't really like that. I'm not a fan of it, so I'm not gonna use those. What I'm gonna use is some dust and scratches. So let's see if it does anything. Let me scale it. Okay, here we see some scratches. Now, of course, once again, it's just a black screen with white scratches. So we're gonna put this to screen. Here we go. And as you can see, I put this beneath the top layer, the black layer right here, because I want that to be my top. There's nothing going above that unless that I want to add some extra texture to it, but I don't want that, so I'm leaving that on top. Now, I'm gonna go and place them one track above because I want one more track here for a final effect, and those are the light leaks. Now, people underestimate the power of light leaks and flares. They are so useful, not only to hide mistakes, but also to enhance a shot, just to create a little bit more feeling and warmth or flavor to your shot, whatever you want to call it. Or you can even make transitions with it. So it's super awesome. Let me check. Is there a nice one here? I also want a warm one, but of course, if it's a cold color like blue here, we can always use the Lumetri color to change that. But I'm just gonna make it easy for myself and use a warm one. I think I'm gonna go for the first one here. Yeah, this one. Place an out point. Bam. And I'm gonna go into my effect controls, blend mode, screen. That way all the black will disappear. And I'm going to lower the opacity just a bit. Okay. So this is with, this is without. You can see here in the bottom corner, it creates a little bit more flavor. Maybe put it to 65% so it's a little bit more visible. And when it's animated, you can see here, it creates a little bit more feeling. Like here, it could be the flare from the lights. Yeah, I love it, but it can go away here. And I'm just gonna use a cross dissolve. At the end, I just right click at the end and apply a default transition that will apply a cross dissolve. And now we have this cozy, warm video. Now I'm gonna put this to full resolution. Entirely, okay, that's a shame. But I really like this. It's a really cool way to enhance your video, give it that old look, give it that vintage look, that retro look, whatever you want to call it. Now I also use this for a specific reason. Now imagine that you're working with a 4K timeline, you have shot some beautiful shots in 4K, and your friend was using his iPhone to film something else, or whatever phone that he has. But his phone doesn't provide 4K. It provides maybe 720 or even 1080 full HD videos. Now, of course, if you want to drag that into a 4K timeline, you have to upscale it, and that way you can lose a little bit of quality. Now, to hide that, just use this method. That's something that I always do when I make some videos with my best friend who has a camera that doesn't support 4K, and I always have to upscale his 1080 videos to 4K in my timeline. I always use this effect on it to give it that behind the scenes look, because most of the times he's using that to shoot behind the scenes of me, and that way I just create that kind of a fun thingy. Sometimes I have an 8mm camera with me, which actually doesn't work. It's just a prop, but I just give it to him. I take a shot with my camera, so it's a 4K shot that we can see him using the 8mm camera, and then I switch to his shot that he shot with his other camera, with his DSLR. So it's not really with the 8mm camera, but it gives the look that he was shooting the entire behind the scenes with his 8mm camera. So that's a fun way that I always use for videos. Now, of course, don't overdo it as well. You can also use just the upscaled footage. But yeah, that's one way to do it, and I love it. Now, let me check. Oh, we've got another donation. I'm gonna try to provide your, to speak out your name. I think it's Ishaf Singh. I'm not sure if it's pronounced really well, but thank you so much. I'm gonna put your name on here. Let me see that I don't make any mistakes. RGH. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna check out your channel. I hope you posted some videos on there. Thank you once again for the donation. Okay, so let's check the comments. Where was I? Do you want me to dance? Well, I don't have a lot of space here to dance, unfortunately. I also don't want to hit the computer accidentally and break something here. So I'm not gonna be able to dance, but maybe I can do that in one of the upcoming tutorials. Who knows? Please do a video on music editing. What kind of music editing do you mean exactly? Do you mean something related to audio from the voice, or to sound effects, or to, yeah, like a music soundtrack that's playing underneath your video? What exactly do you mean? Leave it in the comments, that way I can think of a tutorial that I have to make. So Bavin, I think, yeah, he also donated a couple of weeks ago. Bavin Paleja made a tutorial inspired by my Halloween tutorial from last week, and he used even more effects. So I'm definitely going to check that out once I'm done with the stream. Really looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what you can create with the effects. Did you also make all of the eye effects, or did you use some other effects as well, like for instance changing a phase or something? Let me know. What kind of media do you use for video editing? Do you mean the footage, or do you mean my camera? I just use Adobe Premiere Pro as a editor software. Videos, audio, music, stock footage, agility, audio, zoom, strange. What is auto frame feature? The auto frame feature is something new from Premiere Pro 2020, and what it basically does is it will reframe your entire sequence that you've made. Like, for instance, now I have a full HD 1920 by 1080 sequence, and it will reframe that to a specific size that I want. For instance, a square one, 1080 by 1080 for an Instagram post. Or maybe I want to make an Instagram story, which is 1080 by 1920 because it's vertical. That way I can use the auto reframe, and basically the AI software from Premiere will use that effect, so the auto reframing, to look for the most interesting part in your shot and reframe it to that part. Because of course a vertical shot of your horizontal sequence can't fit in there entirely, so it takes a part of that, unless if you want a lot of black borders on the vertical video. So that way it will reframe to that size that you want. It's really handy or useful. I haven't used it a lot or extendedly, but I will try it in the future, and if it actually works really well, then I'm definitely gonna make a video about that. If it still needs some work and just twisting around and maybe another update for it, then I will leave it until there is a new update. Am I doing video reactions? No, we've done that on the Cinecom channel last year and I think a couple of months ago. I will not be doing that here on Premiere Basics. This is just a channel simply for basic videos about Premiere Pro, the basic effects, how to create a specific effect, but only with Premiere Pro, no After Effects, no other stuff. So yeah, just Premiere Pro. Are there any good cameras under $1,000? I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look that up. I'm not entirely sure. I think most of the DSLRs and mirrorless cameras are above $1,000. Maybe try to look for them secondhand, like used ones. Maybe those go around thousands or maybe less dollars, and maybe you can get your hands on one of those. Of course, they will be used and they will not be in mint condition, but if that doesn't matter to you, why not? When are the Cine Battles returning on Cinecom? I don't know. This year we haven't done any Cine Battles because we are really super busy with a lot of projects that are still going on. Maybe next year. I'm not completely sure, but if we find the time, we're gonna bring it back because we actually love doing it. It was both fun for us as for the audience, and it also provided some like chill moments for us. I mean, not for the ones filming and editing the Cine Battles because that's also work, of course, but for Jordi and Janik. Okay, they had a little bit of stress because they had to create something within an hour, for example, or 2 hours. But it's kind of a fun way, you know? It's not the pressure of something that you have to finish for a client or for a sponsor or for, you know, it's just fun. So, let's see. What are the dots in 3D camera tracker? You're talking about After Effects, probably. well, those are the trackers, the tracker dots. But yeah, let's keep it to Premiere Pro, guys. Is there a transition where the screen will have a black strip on top and bottom? So you're probably talking about the cinema scopes. Well, it's actually the same method that I used previously here to create the overlay. So let me just go back here. I'm gonna disable all of this just for a moment. Here we go. So what we need for that is an adjustment layer, which is basically a transparent layer, and the crop effect. And then we can just take a top percentage of 13, a bottom percentage of 14. We hit these stopwatches to create, or wait, it has to be 13 as well, of course, to create keyframes. We go to the beginning of our clip and we put it to 0. Then we select the first ones, right click, ease out. Select the last ones, right click, ease in, and that way they are coming on screen. Now, these are quite far away from each other, so I'm gonna put them a little bit closer, that way it goes faster. Here we go, and now we have that cinematic feeling. So if this is what you meant, this is how you can do it. And we have another donation. Thank you so much, Bellum Videos. I'm gonna put you on the donation board. Wow, guys, thank you so much. And you have an accent on the E. Where are you from? I'm definitely gonna check out your channel, but let me know, where are you from? Okay, so, oh, I just saw your comment. You're saying not crop and manually adding the strips. So you want to change the aspect ratio of your sequence, or what do you exactly mean? I'm not entirely sure what you mean exactly. Lumetri, you have said, please don't ignore me, but I'm not sure what your question was. Can you send it again? Maybe I just overlooked it somewhere. How is it possible to create a jump frame like old film? Well, we've used it here. It's the posturized time effect, and I put it to 16 frames per second. Oh yeah, we have to get rid of that, of course. Here we go. So on the adjustment layer, I put the posturized time to 16 frames. Seems like you're done with the vintage effect. Well, actually, we are done. We have made our edit. We have made an adjustment layer with the posturized time, a color grade to get everything a bit warmer. We added some noise, as you can see. Then we put some dust and scratches on there. Then we put a light leak to create a little bit more of a feeling to it, more yeah, give it just like a cooler look. We can also use these to make transitions, of course. And lastly, we made, or we just used, but we also made them with the crop effect, of course, the overlays, creating our 4:3 aspect ratio here. Now, of course, you can just play around with this. You don't have to use this. You don't have to use light leaks. You don't have to use the dust and scratches. But it's just a nice way to give it a little bit more flavor. And that way we create our fun looking video right here. So, does anyone have more questions about Premiere Pro? Let me check the time. Oh, it's that late already. Okay, we're gonna try to wrap it up. So if you have any more questions about Premiere Pro, let me know. Or if you have any fun editing experiences, just leave them in the comments. I'm looking forward to your fun memories of editing videos or projects that are really hard. So let me know. Or what are you guys working on? Are you currently working on something like a cool edit for a client, or just a fun project for your YouTube page or whatever, your other social media? Let me know. I'm really curious about you guys. Oh, so you're asking if you can create black bars or a CinemaScope without black bars. That way you'll have to change your sequence settings to yeah, it's 2.35 by 1. That's how it's measured, like, you know, 16 by 9, 4 by 3. But let me just check it real quick. So what you have to do is go over to your sequence or your project panel, then you go to sequence, you change the sequence settings, and I'm not entirely sure what the right ratio is here, but I think it's around 800. I'm not entirely sure, so don't take my word for it. You can find it online, of course. We hit OK, yes, and then we will see that it is all the way like this. Let me just remove this for a moment. And now this is actually a CinemaScope, because here should be a black bar and here should be a black bar to show our 16 by 9 video. So that's one way to do it. I'm gonna change it back, 1080. Here we go. Bam. Save. Never forget to save, guys. Never forget it. Put on your autosave, save, make it a habit of your fingers, like Control S, Control S, Control S, because I hate it when suddenly everything crashes and you just lose everything. I hate it. Okay, so let me check. Apparently there's something wrong with my mic. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but there is kind of a problem somewhere. I sound like a robot. Maybe I am a robot. Okay, what's the crop of two? Wait, let me just look it up. So 2.35 by 1 crop. Oh, so it's 817 pixels. So oh, 817. Here we go. It looks like I'm a mathematician now, or a math teacher, but it's just the numbers that you needed. Here you go. I put them in the comments, in the chat. What is your exact name? It's Jill. So Gilles. And actually it's pronounced Gilles, like the French part, the French do it, pronounce it. Yeah, like Jill. My name is Jill, but I always say Jill because it's easier to say that to an English audience. Are you gonna bring motion graphic tutorial? Yes, I am going to make a title and motion graphic tutorial, but that's why I need you guys. But I want to know what you guys want to see, what you guys want to learn. So definitely let me know either on the community post or on a video in the comments, or just here in the chat or on the comment section once this video is uploaded on YouTube and not live anymore. So definitely let me know, because I want to make some cool title animations and motion graphic animations for you guys. Why you don't speak in a Cinecom Discord server? I always forget about the Discord server. It's my problem. I always forget that we have a Discord, and yeah, it's my fault. Sorry. I will try to go there more often. Your dancing is really good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I've even been a dancing teacher for a couple of years. Yeah. But now I quit. I don't have a lot of time for it anymore. But I do train at home and I do a lot of dance battles. Your system always crashes when you're doing a 1-hour video. Do you mean when you're editing the 1-hour video or when you are exporting the 1-hour video? Because that's a huge difference, of course. So let me know. Just, yes, text videos. But what kind of text animations do you guys want to see? Let me know, specific. Like, do you want to see a text transition, a neon text, a vintage text, a creepy text, whatever you can imagine. Just leave it in the comments and I'll see what I can do. So there's a transition to make that cinematic look. Yeah, just use the crop effect on an adjustment layer and use keyframes to animate the crop going in. I use like 13 or 14% on the top and on the bottom. Yes, when editing a 1-hour video. Well, a 1-hour video is quite long, actually. Did you use any effects on there, or is it just basic cutting? Because if it's just basic cutting, I'm not sure. Maybe your computer just can't handle it. If it's with effects applied to it, then maybe the effects are too heavy for your computer. I'm not entirely sure. It can be a lot of reasons. Lower thirds, yeah, I can make lower thirds, of course. Maybe I can even make kind of a bundle. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Liquid motion text. I'm not sure if that's possible in Premiere to make it really liquid, but I'll see what I can do. Bye, Janik! Everybody say bye, Janik. He's going home. You can create video series about text animations, how to get them really smooth. Good idea. Well, that's weird. I'm talking about the 1-hour video editing, of course. Yeah, maybe your computer doesn't have the right specs, I'm afraid. I mean, I don't know what the specs of your computer are. I don't know what the specs of your shot are. But yeah, probably it's that case. I've had the same problem a couple of years back with my MacBook, my old MacBook, so it couldn't handle it. What the F is it? Janik is a colleague, is my colleague. And I can hear the other colleagues, Lorenzo and Jordi, going home as well. Can you make presets? Yeah, we have a lot of presets. You can find them on the cinecom.net website. Some of them are free, some of them aren't. Of course, you have to support your creators as well. Bye, Jordi! So yeah, as I was saying, some of them are free, some of them aren't. Just have a look at them on the cinecom.net website. And there is also a preset pack that I made here on Premiere Basics. Did I make multiple? I'm not sure. I know I made the gun scope effects overlays, which you can find beneath that tutorial in the comments or in the description box. And those were free. So those were just 5 gun overlays that I made. I mean, scope overlays, of course, for your gun videos. I'm not ignoring you guys. Sometimes there's a lot of comments. Sometimes I just miss those. Let me see. Grammy edits. What were you saying? Let me scroll back. From where do you study the 3D editing and all 3D stuff? Which software is good? If you want a free 3D software, you can use Blender. Blender is completely free. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube. I think it's a community-based program. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I used a couple years back. Janik and Lorenzo are doing a online class about Cinema 4D, which is a highly priced paid program, software program. What else do you have? Autodesk Maya, which is also paid, so it's not free. I'm not sure about any other programs, but if you want a free 3D software program, then just look for Blender. Normally it should be free. It can do anything that another program can do as well. Yeah, just look it up. There are tons of tutorials. I see some questions about the specs. I don't know a lot about computer specs, to be honest. Yeah. Do a challenge? Well, I don't do challenges on this channel, but I'll write it down so we can use it for a Cine battle once we're going to do them again, maybe next year. Selective color grading. Well, this week I am going to make a tutorial about selective color grading. Not gonna spoil what kind of tutorial exactly it is, but it has to do with it. So definitely check out. It will be online on Wednesday, as always, of course. So stay tuned for that. You're my greatest fan. Thank you, Lumetri. Is Cinecom in America? No, it's in Belgium. How can I make my export fast? Well, you can either render it beforehand and then use the previews, just as I mentioned before here in the live stream. And also, let me just go to my desktop real quick here. When you export, make sure that this isn't the highest bitrate. If your PC isn't that good, try to go for a lower bitrate or change the bitrate settings right here. If this is put to like 30, 40, 50, that's really high. Normally, if it's for social media posts, 16 is like the max, okay? Now, if you have a good computer, if you have some great footage, 4K, 5K, whatever, you can use a higher bitrate, of course. This is the data that is going into your frames, yeah. Also, if you have Premiere Pro 2020, try putting it to hardware encoding. That also creates a faster exporting time. So yeah, those are some ways to make it faster. So someone says that Maya is quite fair for students. So definitely, if you're a student, have a look at that. I bet the license is quite good, apparently. Gilles, are you more Sith or more Jedi? That's a good question. So you actually know that I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Okay, well, that's a really hard one. I like both the Jedi and the Sith. Not all of them, of course. But I would say I'm more of a Jedi just because I have a bigger range of lightsabers to choose from. And then I mean the colors. Because the Sith most of the times just have the red lightsabers. So it's only one color. What if you don't like red? Cheap answer, I know, but yeah. You're planning to study media production. Give me some wisdom. Plan everything as good as possible. If you're doing a shoot, try to make a plan B for if something goes wrong. Plan everything so that you don't have any obstacles or problems coming across during your shoot. Yeah, that's it. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up because it's getting quite late for me already. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this video with this live B video on public. Yes, every live stream will be published on our YouTube page, so definitely have a look afterwards if you haven't seen the entire live stream yet. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna end it right here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about creating a vintage camera look and about some other questions that you had inside of Premiere Pro. Thank you so much to our donators. Once again, I love you guys. I'm definitely going to check out your channels. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the tutorial, and of course next week on Monday for our next live stream. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. If you have any video suggestions, leave them as well in those comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to get notifications from when we upload our videos, because that really helps us and the entire engagement here on YouTube. And of course, as always, stay creative.